Even if the price of this mouthful of salt is to be shattered to pieces, I am willing to exchange my life for it. Inhale. I am an Alpine Ibex, the daredevil dancer on this cliff. This highland dam, built by humans, spans between cliffs, towering hundreds of meters high. The nearly vertical dam body is like a cold cliff, suspended between heaven and earth, forcibly severing the veins of the land. Humans call it an engineering marvel, but I smell the hope of survival in every drop of salt seeping from it. In this barren, cold highland, salt is not a luxury for seasoning, but a lifeline for sustaining life, allowing muscles to contract, letting nerves can transmit signals. Without it, our limbs would gradually stiffen, and the young would not be able to climb. My mother once told me that salt is the most primitive gift the mountains give us, and also the harshest test. But nature never gives anything for free. Everything it offers has a hidden price. We must climb this nearly 90-degree cliff to lick the trace of salt that seeps out. This is a test of life and death, a close dance with death itself, where the slightest mistake means falling from hundreds of meters high, shattering to pieces. But we also have our own skills. Our hooves are a miracle carved by time, soft underneath like rubber, able to cling to every tiny protrusion of the salt surface, with edges hard and sharp enough to wedge into the slightest rock crevice. We move along the cliff face, each step like a seasoned ballet dancer, each breath treading on the line of life. I vaguely remember that when I was just a month old, I weighed no more than 5 kilograms, and my trembling leg bones had not yet learned to store strength. But I already had to follow my mother up the cliff because that bit of salt is the lifeline for strengthening bones and muscles. It didn't look back at me, with no pity in its eyes, only undeniable determination. Sometimes I wonder if animals like us really miss things that can comfort their bodies when they are tired. Just like when I'm editing videos until 2 or 3 in the morning, my mind goes numb and my stomach aches with hunger. At that moment, I understood that this was not a choice, but destiny, and behind this destiny lies the instinct and experience of survival accumulated by the species over thousands of years. I press my hoof into a crevice, fitting precisely like gears meshing together, instantly stable. But even the most precise instruments can make mistakes. As my front hoof slips, my heartbeat tightens. For us, 90 degrees is a wall. 89 degrees can be called a slope. My mother once said this. As I silently recited her words, I searched for every tiny protrusion on the rock face, slowly moving my body forward as if pressed against a blade. I began to understand that climbing was not as terrifying as imagined. Each rock, it seemed as if everything was closing in on me, and every steady step made me want to hear life whispering in my ear, "You can do it," until midway, a wave of fatigue hit me. As the front hoof slipped, my body suddenly lost balance, and the 100-meter height spun before my eyes. The wind howled past my ears like the call of death. At that moment, it was my mother who shielded me. Her body was steadier than the rock. I leaned against her thick fur, panting, and my heartbeat finally began to calm down. She didn't speak, just gently nudged me with her foot, signaling to continue forward. At that moment, I understood that faster than danger is always a mother's protection. I lifted again. Hoof, the sensation under my body became clearer than before. Those previously overlooked tiny protrusions now became the most reliable support. Finally, I stood before that salt-seeping rock wall, the tip of my tongue lightly touching the salt stains emerging on the concrete. That salty and bitter taste seemed like a flower of life blooming from the rock. The moment the salty taste blossomed on my tongue again, I knew I had survived. This mouthful of salt is not just sustenance, but a testament to the continuation of the tribe. Perhaps humans find it hard to understand why a goat would take such risks for a pinch of salt. But for us, living has never been about comfortable survival, but rather, in desperate situations, we fight to move forward. We don't have the right to retreat, not because we are brave, but because we have no other choice. Aren't you the same? Maybe you've never stood on this vertical cliff, nor walked on the edge of a blade, but have you ever gritted your teeth and endured those moments when you dared not look back? Have you ever fallen, struggled, and climbed back up just to win a little bit of dignity for survival? We are all climbing our own cliffs, enduring the unspoken hardships, the steps that cannot stop, the persistence and ideals that cannot be abandoned, not for some glorious end, but to not give up in the face of fate.
Do not bow your head. Even if there is a sheer cliff ahead, we must carve out our own path to survival.